Well, it can contribute a lot, as a matter of fact, because the important thing is to have a good dialogue, good discussions, and good explanations on both sides, I would say, of the Mediterranean rivers, and even more. The fact that a number of European countries are represented here through the quadrilogue. On the other side, countries that are members of the North-South Center or not members but are here from the southern part of the Mediterranean is very important to have, to start with, a platform, a safe space where people can sit down and respectfully talk to each other and explain what populism is doing in their countries, how migrants are taken care of or not in their countries, what are the main problems for them. In some countries it could be socioeconomic disparities, inequalities. In some countries maybe some other problems. But I think it's very important to sit down and to give to people who come to these meetings, who are leaders in their countries. They are either in government or in the judiciary. These people, they are sometimes mayors of local authorities. They represent civil society. So all these people, when they go back, they can act. And the fact that they can sit with other people and sharing their views about certain problems, I think it's very important. So dialogue is the first. Secondly, the North-South Center is not on its own. The North-South Center is part of the Council of Europe. Being part of the Council of Europe means to have a set of values that have to be promoted and respected when talking to our partners. And on top of it, there is a long tradition of good work in the field of democracy, rule of law. Think about the European Court of Human Rights, or all the work we do with the judiciary systems, and rule of law, as I said, and human rights, of course, since I referred to the court. So all these things put together give the North-South Center a certain authority with the messages that they want to produce, that are raised during the discussions here. So I think that these two factors, I resume, the fact of having a dialogue with the proper people from time to time around a table or a space which is safe and open-minded. And the second fact that the North-South Center is qualified to do that because it can get the inspiration from the overall work of the Council of Europe in the three areas of human rights, democracy and the rule of law. I think this is a very positive contribution in itself, which can facilitate good cooperation, because at the end of the day this is what we need, not to get isolated but to be together and cooperate. The issues are all very important, as we heard. We start with migration. As I said, it is not our responsibility, and this applies of course to the North-South Center, to deal with migration flows. Our responsibility is to look at whether people, when they enter into the European soil, our 47 member states, whether they enjoy or not human rights. This is our responsibility, and it is a very strong message. No other continent in the world has a tool like the European Convention on Human Rights and a tradition to make sure that the rights which are applied to their citizens are also applied to citizens, human beings that come from elsewhere from the world. So this already in itself seems to me another very important message on migration. But on migration, as I for instance indicated, we do a lot of work to facilitate their integration. All the work on anti-discrimination that we do is essential to facilitate the integration of these people into our societies. But also what is very important is the educational work that we are carrying out, because you need to prepare people and their minds. Otherwise they live on stereotypes, misunderstanding, misjudgments. So all this work is important. And the North-South Center, which has this window or door open to countries in the neighborhood and even a little bit further than the neighborhood, can exercise an important work in transmitting the values that the organization has developed over decades. So I think that this is also important. Now, you have heard that we are launching now a new program for children, unaccompanied children, refugee or migrant children. It means from babies who survive when their parents die during the crossing of the Mediterranean area to young adults up to the age of 18. And this work will be undertaken particularly in the legal area in order to find out what is the status of these children, how to get nationality, how can they have access to justice under their conditions, questions of guardianship, or question of how to facilitate their family reunification if they have some other members of the family elsewhere, and access to health care, all these kind of things. How? We will bring together the representatives of the Ministry of Interior responsible for these questions, and we will elaborate during the next 2 years common guidelines and standards for taking care of these unaccompanied children, not only in one or the other country, but throughout the 47 countries. So I hope you see the importance of coming forward with a very strong contribution in an area which is very confused at the moment and not sufficiently yet developed. Both. It's political first and foremost, and then it is obviously operational. I wouldn't say managerial, I would say operational, because there will be a result. It's not simply saying we have to take care, but how. And in order to do how, then you need to have the countries come together and negotiate the important measures that are needed and to fix common standards so that a child in a country will receive the same treatment that a child in another country and not differently.